I have officially withdrawn my defamation case against Facebook's fact checkers in Australia, RMIT Fact Lab. Now, haters, just before you get excited, it's not because their fact check was correct. In fact, I think it's now clear we've proven the opposite. Watch this through all the way to the end to understand the length the gatekeepers of truth will go, firstly, to get paid a lot of money, but more importantly, to control the narrative. Last year, if you recall, the CEO of the Shrine of Remembrance backtracked on his decision to politicize and frankly desecrate the sacred site by lighting the war memorial up in pride colours. At the time, Dean Lee blamed death threats for cancelling his controversial plan.
As for the nature of the threats, it was a case of don't ask, don't tell from the Shrine of Remembrance CEO, Dean Lee.
I won't be talking any further on that. I'm not prepared to speak any further on the nature of the threats.
As a journalist, I was very suspicious of such a claim without any proof. So I headed to the shrine and caught on camera the Victoria Police member in charge of security of the sacred site saying there were no threats.
Do you know about the threats that they say that they got?
No
threats to start?
Oh, just emails and what have you.
Oh.
Yeah, there's no they're actually not threats. They're just hate mail.
Ah, okay.
I didn't just accept that. I also followed up with an email to Victoria Police Media Unit, who also confirmed that, quote, police have not received a formal report about any threats made to Shrine staff. So we ran the story that every news outlet should have run. But instead of questioning the person in power, RMIT Fact Lab labelled our story as false information. Even if it wasn't true, even if I fabricated the entire story, why would they care? Made a claim to set up the fact-checking partnerships to combat things like medical misinformation and electoral fraud. Stories they assert will potentially lead to real-world harm. How could questioning the excuse of the CEO to backtrack on his decision to light up the shrine lead to real-world harm? It can't. So I took my case to the county court, and as predicted after being subpoenaed and forced to, RMIT could not provide any actual evidence of real threats to the shrine staff before we went to publication. But in the 11th hour, they remembered a phone call which they now claim consisted a threat. How convenient. But our legal team explained that since we claim that they're the ones lying, the onus falls on us to prove that no threat was made in the said phone call, which we obviously can't. So we had to withdraw or risk losing the case and having to pay costs on top. But think about it. Think about what that means. A person in power can claim whatever he or she wants without any objective evidence, and as long as it suits the narrative, if you question it, even while providing proof, doing what the mainstream media's job is, speaking truth to power, you'll be fact-checked and there's nothing you can do because the gatekeepers of truth are beyond needing to prove their claims. But don't worry, we didn't walk away empty-handed. Through this case and against RMIT's will, so make sure to share it far and wide, their confidential agreement with Facebook was revealed. And it all makes sense now. RMIT is a business that gets paid a lot of money to find whatever they can to label as false. Let that sink in. Activists pretending to care about facts are being paid to look for and censor their political opponents. Don't get me wrong, I don't for a second regret launching this legal case as we got to expose the fact-checking industry, including what lengths they're willing to go to protect a lie, and more importantly, their secret deals with big tech. However, we must choose our battles wisely, trusting our top legal team. It's not cheap to pick fights and even more expensive to lose. So I appreciate each and every one of you who continues to support my legal fund at avilegalfund.com, which allows me to fight on. avilegalfund.com. Check out all my cases and please consider chipping in if you believe in what I stand and fight for.